So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes. And the idea is that we want you to cover your current affairs on a daily basis, but we don't want you to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Therefore, for your facility, we will cover the entire day's current affairs within 30 minutes. Now, just watching this lecture in 30 minutes would be job half done because I want you guys to spend another 15 minutes revising this lecture. Why? Well, revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us along with this lecture, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram platform is provided in the comment section below this video. All you have to do is just click on that link. It will take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes for this lecture and do the necessary revision. Alright, enough of the introduction. Let's straight away jump into the lecture. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we are going to cover today. Okay? So topic number 1 is Kamba Ramayana. It is the Tamil version of Valmiki's Ramayana, and Ministry of Culture has announced that it is going to basically celebrate a week-long festival celebrating this piece of literature and the author of this literature, this Ramayana called Kambar. So what is Kamba Ramayana? Who was his author? Who was its author? We'll talk about all these things. This is important from the perspective of covering culture of India. Okay. Then recently, France has announced that it has found the largest white hydrogen reserve so far. Now, white hydrogen can be used as fuel. And it's a renewable fuel. Not renewable, but it is non-polluting, clean fuel. So this is a major discovery if we are looking for alternative fuels apart from fossil fuels, basically. So we'll talk about this white hydrogen. What is white hydrogen? How is hydrogen a good source of fuel? And what is the significance of this discovery made by France? Then recently, Hmar and Zomi tribes of Manipur were involved in a conflict. The senior leaders of these two tribes have announced that they are going to take peacekeeping measures so that there is peace in this area of Manipur where these two tribes reside. So this brings these two tribes in the news, and therefore we want to know about these tribes because, like I said, culture is an important portion of your syllabus and culture of tribes also is an important portion. Therefore, we will talk about these two tribes of India. Then, recently we'll talk about Wular Lake, the largest freshwater lake in India in Kashmir Valley. Okay, it is basically suffering. Its area has shortened and its significance has also reduced. Basically, Wular Lake was important as far as control of floods in Kashmir is concerned. Okay, but recently like this lake is facing some threats. We'll talk about these threats basically. And in the end, we'll talk about Sansad Bhashini platform, which is going to be launched by Lok Sabha Secretariat. So what is this Sansad Bhashini initiative and how will it introduce inclusivity in parliamentary proceedings? We'll talk about this. All right. So these are the 5 top topics that we'll focus our attention on. Let's start discussing them one by one. Okay. First, let's talk about Kamba Ramayana. Okay. So the Culture Ministry is set to embark on a comprehensive initiative to preserve and promote Kamba Ramayana, one of the most significant works in Tamil literature. Now, to basically preserve and promote this piece of Tamil literature, Ministry of Culture has organized or is going to organize a week-long immersive festival to be held at Kambar Medu, the birthplace of Kambar in Terazundur. Okay. Now, Kambar was the author of this Ramayana. Clear? This festival will feature continuous recitals of Kamba Ramayana, dance, drama, scholarly discussions on the cultural and literary significance of this epic. Now, look, the thing is that Ramayana in North India has 2 versions. Okay, one is the ancient version called Valmiki Ramayana. Okay, and the other, which was written in medieval times by Tulsidas, is Ramcharitmanas. Okay. Both are written in different languages. This is written in Awadhi. This is written in Sanskrit. Okay. Now, Valmiki Ramayana was basically adapted to Tamil literature by Kambar. So, Kambar wrote Ramayana basically in classical Tamil language, adapting from Valmiki's Ramayana. And this Kamba Ramayana was basically very popular in Tamil Nadu. It was recited in temples. Now, Ministry of Culture wants to preserve it. okay, promote it so that this tradition basically survives for long. All right. Now let's talk a bit about Kamba Ramayana. Let's know a bit of information about Kamba Ramayana. Okay. So it was composed by Tamil poet Kambar in 12th century. Now Tamil poet Kambar lived during the Chola rule. I mean, he was under Chola rule, Chola kingdom. Okay. Now this Kamba Ramayana was adapted from Sanskrit Valmiki Ramayana in classical Tamil. Okay. It is divided into 6 kandams, which means chapters. Okay. 114 padalams, which means sections, and it is about 10,000 verses, more than 10,000 verses. Now remember, Kambar adapted this form of Ramayana to Tamil literature, right? Therefore, within the larger story, he introduced Tamil folk elements as well. And this became a very popular uh, piece of literature in Tamil Nadu during medieval times. In fact, there was a tradition of orally reciting this Ramayana in temples. Now that this tradition is almost gone, therefore Ministry of Culture wants to preserve this rich heritage of India. Okay, this is all you need to know as far as Kamba Ramayana. Now let's talk about Kambar. Okay, who was Kambar? You know, he was a Tamil poet of 12th century. Okay, but you need to know more. So he was living in the Chola kingdom during the reign of Chola king Kulutunga III. Okay, he was given royal patronage, basically not patronage, but he was recognized. He was given royal recognition by the Chola kingdom, and they gave him the title of Kavi Chakravarti. That means Emperor of Poets. Okay, Emperor of Poets, Kavi Chakravarti. Maybe, I mean, if someone is given this title, that means he must have composed some significant things. Yes. Apart from Kamba Ramayana, he has composed many devotional, spiritual, religious texts and poems. Okay, the names of those important poems are given in your notes, so you can take a look at from that. You can take a look at those works from the notes. Wrote many other spiritual and devotional works. He was born in Terazundur, Mailaduturai district of Tamil Nadu. All right, that would be all. Okay, but this news is important from the perspective of preparing for art and culture. Okay, and this is a part of your syllabus, art and culture. So remember this piece of news, it's important. Okay, now let's talk about white hydrogen in France. France has discovered a massive 46 million ton white hydrogen reserve in Moselle region, valued at $92 trillion. Unlike grey and green hydrogen, white hydrogen requires no industrial production and emits no CO2, making it a game changer for clean energy. Okay. Now, first of all, you need to know what white hydrogen is. So, white hydrogen is a naturally occurring form of hydrogen. Generally, we have to produce hydrogen in factories and labs. White hydrogen occurs naturally. It is a naturally occurring form of hydrogen found in Earth's crust, generated through geochemical processes. So, hydrogen that is found naturally inside the Earth's crust is known as white hydrogen, basically. And France has discovered a massive reserve of white hydrogen. Now, the thing is, why is this discovery significant? Basically, why is hydrogen so significant? The thing is that people are saying that currently we produce energy using fossil fuels, right? Now, fossil fuels produce energy, that's a good thing. But apart from producing energy, they also produce a lot of other polluting byproducts. Okay, we have to burn fossil fuels to produce energy, but when we burn it, it produces carbon oxides. Okay, it produces many other forms of oxides. Basically, it produces gases that cause air pollution. Okay, and carbon and its oxides, especially CO2, get basically they I mean, this CO2 that is released goes into the atmosphere and causes greenhouse effect. CO2 is basically a greenhouse gas that causes global warming. So the more fossil fuels we burn, more accelerating, or we'll basically accelerate the pace of global warming. Okay, so fossil fuels are causing global warming. Now people have proposed, okay, basically scientists, experts have proposed that instead of burning fossil fuels, let's burn hydrogen, because hydrogen after burning also produces energy. But the thing is, it doesn't release any toxic byproduct. The only byproduct that is released after burning hydrogen is water vapor. So don't you think it is a better source of energy? okay, and non-polluting, and we can fight against climate change. In fact, hydrogen has many advantages. First of all, clean burning, no toxic gases, no greenhouse gas emissions, okay. Plus, hydrogen has high energy density. High energy density means energy per kg or gram of fuel that is burned. In fact, you have to burn little amount of hydrogen to produce way more energy than fossil fuels. So it has high energy density. Then hydrogen can be stored in fuel cells for future use also, right? So it can be stored and energy security can be ensured. Plus, hydrogen can also be produced by splitting water, okay, through electrolysis. You produce hydrogen and oxygen. Now we have ample amounts of water on Earth, so hydrogen can be a form of renewable energy source, right? Makes sense? Now the thing is that hydrogen is a clean source and it can be used to produce energy and replace fossil fuels. But the thing is that the production of hydrogen is complicated. Look, if you are producing hydrogen by splitting water molecule through electrolysis, and the electricity for this electrolysis is coming from solar, wind, renewable energy, then the hydrogen produced by this is called green hydrogen. Now, this is a good form of hydrogen because while producing green hydrogen, you are not producing any greenhouse gases. But hydrogen can also be produced from natural gas, basically methane. Okay? And this process emits a lot of carbon dioxide. It emits hydrogen also, but it emits a lot of carbon dioxide also. Okay? So hydrogen is a clean fuel, but the production of this hydrogen emits CO2. This is known as gray hydrogen. So our entire aim of reducing greenhouse gases gets nullified if we produce gray hydrogen. There is another way called blue hydrogen. Well, in blue hydrogen, you produce hydrogen from natural gas only, okay? But the carbon dioxide that is produced is captured, okay? So the best way of using hydrogen or the best way through which we can replace fossil fuels with hydrogen is through green hydrogen, because the entire life cycle of green hydrogen doesn't produce any greenhouse gases. Now, a better alternative than green, gray, and blue hydrogen is white hydrogen, because white hydrogen, you don't have to produce white hydrogen, it occurs naturally in the Earth's surface. Okay, and this is why France is so excited about it. Okay, because it has found white hydrogen. Okay, so what are the advantages of white hydrogen? Well, low carbon intensity, I mean, it won't produce that many carbon oxides or greenhouse gases, so it's a clean fuel. Plus, because hydrogen is occurring naturally, so you are not producing hydrogen separately and releasing other gases, greenhouse gases, so it's good. Then it is estimated that we have significant quantities of hydrogen in the Earth's crust. Okay, so we have significant quantities. Okay, plus this white hydrogen is compatible with the existing hydrogen processing infrastructure and hydrogen fuel cells. So we already have the infrastructure to do this. And if we use white hydrogen instead of fossil fuels, well, we will fight against climate change also. Now remember, white hydrogen is produced naturally. How? Well, the thing is, in the Earth's crust, when water reacts with iron rich minerals like olivine, these minerals are rich in iron. They produce hydrogen. But for this to happen, very high pressure and high temperature has to be applied inside Earth's crust. And that happens inside the Earth's crust. So hydrogen is produced naturally and then it can be extracted and used. Okay, so these are the advantages, and that is why France is so excited. In fact, it is said that white hydrogen reserves are available in France, Spain, Oman, US, Australia. Okay, but the recent reserve discovered by France is the largest ever. That is why France is so excited. Now, this white hydrogen has a lot of advantages, agreed, but it has some disadvantages as well. Okay, what are the cons? First of all, detecting these hydrogen reserves is very difficult, and then extracting them is again a complicated process. Okay, plus, we haven't found a good way of extracting large amounts of hydrogen. We can extract small amounts of hydrogen from Earth, but not large. So it is not commercially scalable. And if we extract large amounts of hydrogen, well, it will increase the cost. And then this hydrogen that would be made available would be of high cost. People won't buy it as a fuel. People will still prefer petrol and diesel or coal. Okay, so these are the cons, but the scientists are still working on improving detection techniques, extraction techniques, reducing cost. But it's a good promise basically if we are serious about climate change. All right, now let's move to third news item, which is Hmar and Zomi tribes of Manipur. A day after imposition of restrictions following clashes between Hmar and Zomi people in Manipur, leaders of the two communities agreed to work together to restore peace in Churachandpur district of state. Hmar and Zomi people are considered to be constituents of Kuki-Zo group of ethnic communities. So these tribes belong to a family of tribes called Kuki-Zo group family or Kuki-Zo family. Okay, within this Kuki-Zo family, there are many tribes. Kukis are one of them. And these Kukis have been in conflict with the majority non-tribal Methi community of Manipur since May 2023. Many of you must have heard about it. Okay. Now, recently, Hmar and Zomi, who are part of this Kuki-Zo group, fought with each other. But their peace has been restored, basically. Now, Hmar and Zomi tribes have become a part of news, right? So, therefore, it is important if we really want to cover art and culture portion of our syllabus, then we need to know about these two tribes as well, because they became relevant because they were covered in current affairs. Okay, so let's talk about these two tribes one by one. Okay, Hmars. So Hmars have been given scheduled tribe status under 6th schedule of the constitution. They speak Tibeto-Burman family of languages. Okay, now India speaks many languages. Okay, all these languages are divided into different families. Okay, family number one is Indo-Aryan. So most North Indian languages and West Indian languages, okay, like Gujarati, Marathi, they belong to Indo-Aryan family. Then South Indian languages belong to this family, Dravidian family. Okay, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam. Okay, East Indian tongues are also Indo-Aryan, like Bengali. Okay, third is Austro-Asiatic. This is the language spoken by Central Indian tribes like Gonds, Oraon, Santhal of Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, the tribals of this region. Okay, they speak Austro-Asiatic tongue, their local languages. And then in the Northeast, the local tribes of Northeast speak a particular family of language which is known as Tibeto-Burman. Okay, so Hmars and Zomis speak Tibeto-Burman language, and their racial features are also classified as Tibeto-Burman features. Okay. Now their occupation is jhum cultivation. Now jhum is known as slash and burn type of agriculture. So what happens is these tribals would see a forest area, forest patch of land. They would burn it to the ground so the land gets cleared, and then they practice agriculture over there for 2-3 years, and then they abandon that land and burn another piece of land. This is known as slash and burn or jhum. Okay, so Hamars practice jhum cultivation, and their famous festival is Sikpuiro. Okay, it is basically a post-harvest festival. Just after they harvest their crop, they celebrate this. Now, Zomis also have similar features. Okay, Zomis are scheduled tribe under 6th schedule. They speak Tibeto-Burman tongue. They practice jhum cultivation, and their famous festival is Chapcharkut. Basically, it is celebrated when they burn a particular piece of land, forest area. And the reason why Zomi and Hamars are similar, because they belong to a same family of tribes called Kuki, Zo, Chin family. Now, Chin is a term given to these tribes by the British, and Zomi consider it to be a derogatory term. So they prefer Zo people or Zomi. Okay. Any which way, these are the two tribes which belong to this, and these tribes are in conflict with the non-tribal Meiteis of Manipur. And this is the entire security situation of Manipur, which we'll talk about some other time. And we have talked about it in the past also. But this is the information that you need to know about Kuki, Zomis and Hmars. Okay. Now let's talk about threat of Wular Lake. So as you can see, this is Wular Lake. Okay. Now, in a recent phenomena, Kashmir has been frequently threatened by floods at very short intervals of dry spells. Multiple studies during the past decade have shown that Wular Lake, formed by meandering of Jhelum, pushed back the flood waters in the river in September 2014 due to capacity shrinkage. This increased the intensity of 2014 floods in Kashmir. Now, some of you might not remember this, But there were massive floods in Kashmir Valley in 2014. Many people were displaced and it damaged a lot of property and a lot of things. Many lives were lost. Now, the reason for these floods was overflowing of Jhelum River. Now, earlier, what happened was this Jhelum River naturally forms the largest freshwater lake in India called Wular Lake. It is 50 kilometers northeast of Srinagar. Okay. So the size of Wular Lake was such that whenever water levels in Jhelum River used to overflow, or whenever there was increase in water flow in Jhelum River, this increased water flow was absorbed by Wular Lake, and therefore Jhelum River never overflew, not overflew, but basically it didn't have excess water because this excess water was absorbed by Wular Lake. The thing is that the capacity of Wular Lake has shrunk in recent times, especially in the past 100 years. It has it has reduced considerably. And because of this shrinkage, now the capacity of Wular Lake to absorb excess water in Jhelum is less. And this was witnessed in 2014 because the capacity is less. So when Jhelum had oversupply of water, Wular Lake was not able to absorb this excess water. And well, Jhelum River saw floods and the surrounding areas were basically flooded, inundated. Okay, so this is the threat that has been pointed out by many environmental experts. But we need to know what Wular Lake is. Okay, so it is the largest freshwater lake in India formed by Jhelum River. Okay, now the thing is that Wular Lake is basically found 50 kilometers northeast of Srinagar in Bandipur district of Kashmir Valley. Okay, it is formed by Jhelum River and it is formed naturally. So it is not an artificial lake, naturally due to tectonic activity. Okay, now this Wular Lake was declared a Ramsar site. Ramsar site means it is part of Ramsar Convention, and Ramsar Convention was a convention to protect wetlands, okay, all over the world. So it was declared Ramsar site in 1990, and it is an important site because many migratory birds that travel from Central Asia and even north of it, from Arctic region, pass through this Wular Lake and stop there for considerable days, right? So it is home to many migratory birds also. Okay, it is important biodiversity place also. Okay, and it is a Ramsar site, so it is important, and it has a significant ecological role. Like I said before, it used to absorb excess flood waters in Jhelum River, but not anymore because its size is shrinking. Okay, and the reason for shrinkage is during 2014, Jhelum River brought lot of sediments, and these sediments were deposited in this Wular Lake. Now, because of that, the capacity of Wular Lake has shrunk because a lot of sediments were that Jhelum River carried from its catchment area was deposited over here, and now its capacity to hold more water has reduced, and now the water is overflowing. Okay, this is the thing. And last but definitely not the least, Sansad Bhashini initiative. In a major step towards modernizing parliamentary process, the Lok Sabha Secretariat and Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MeitY, signed a MOU to develop Sansad Bhashini initiative. This ambitious project aims to leverage cutting-edge AI to enhance multilingual support, streamline parliamentary operations, and improve access to vast archives of debates and records. Okay, so what is Sansad Bhashini initiative? So Sansad Bhashini is an AI platform which will basically provide translation services because different MPs speak in different languages. Okay, so it will provide translation services, plus it will also provide text to speech, speech to text services. Okay, what are the features of Sansad Bhashini? AI powered translation, real time translation. So if an MP is speaking in his or her own native tongue, it will be translated into English or Hindi or any other language so that other MPs can listen to him. Okay. Automatic summarization of speeches and debates in parliament. It will be integrated with Bhashini platform. Bhashini platform of MeitY already exists, which is an AI translation tool. Then speech to text. It will have AI chatbot for providing assistance to MPs and officials and content accessibility. Okay, that's all you need to know as far as Sansad Bhashini platform is concerned, and that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you'll revise this lecture as well. So please do not forget to spend another 15 minutes revising this lecture. It's extremely important. Okay? And on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.